welcome to Build. I'm Simon Atkins. As always, we are live from London. Now, today I'm delighted to be joined by the cast and director of ITV's epic new drama series, Beecham House. But before we meet them, let's take a look at what it's all about.
Welcome to Delhi, Sahib. It is an honor to meet you.
News of my arrival has travelled so quickly.
India does grow on you, Mrs. Beecham.
We will stay here and make a life together.
In a garden full of beautiful flowers, I see your eyes have rested on the only English rose.
He may not be all that he appears.
Why are you holding that child?
There has been a tragedy.
We have been given a new beginning. We must forget the past.
My last home was full of secrets. I will not tolerate the same here.
You must not tell a soul.
If anybody sees you, it could ruin everything.
I have no one I can trust.
You shouldn't have come here.
Lieutenant Beecham is a traitor!
New drama, Beecham House, on ITV.
Wowzers, that looks pretty amazing. Right, guys, from Beecham House, please welcome Tom Bateman, Dakota Richards, Bessie Carter, and the writer and director, Gurinder Chadha! How's it going?
Don't pretend we have to.
Hi, welcome to Build. Now, before we get started, if you guys at home want to get involved and ask the guys a question, you can tweet us at Build Series LDN or leave a comment below this video if you're watching live on Facebook. Hello. Who are you texting? Who are you texting?
I'm tweeting now, saying live, right?
So, Gurinder, let's start with you. So, you have co-created this. You've directed it.
Put it down.
And you've written it.
Multitask. I can multitask.
It's good. It's
Go on,
tweeting.
So you've co-created it, you've written it, and you've directed it. Yes. The question is, how much are they paying you? No, I'm joking. The question is, where did this idea come from?
So I made a film called Viceroy's House a few years ago, which is set at the end of the British Raj in 1947. And we had been waiting for such a long time for that movie to get green lit. But Paul, my husband and co-writer, we had done a lot of research. So during that time, we thought, why don't we take all this research and turn it into a great TV show? Also, Downton Abbey was very popular at the time. And I thought, you know, we could take something like that and upstairs, downstairs, and tell the story of the British in India, but through the goings-on in this house.
So it lands at 9 p.m. on Sunday on ITV1. Who wants to give us an outline of the story?
Dakota.
So it's about this woman called Margaret Osborne. I don't know. It's about John Beecham, who has arrived in Delhi with a child, but there's no mother to be seen, and he's trying to secure a trade license so that he can trade gems and other fine objects. And it's about the politics within the house that he's living in and his attempt to secure a life in Delhi.
But the child he turns up with is not exactly fully white and European.
Because his background is, there's lots of speculation and mystery around John Beecham's background, isn't there? He's a former soldier. He's bought Beecham House, and just tell us a bit more about your character.
He's a former soldier in the East India Company.
In the East India Company. So what is it like playing John Beecham? And tell us a little about him.
It was lovely playing John Beecham. He was one of the reasons I really loved the part, especially, you know, I loved the world, but I loved the part so much because there was so much intrigue about him. There's so many secrets. Each episode that I read sort of answered one question and then opened up another sort of two or three. And I loved that sort of the depth to which Gurinder and Paul went to with this character. It keeps going back and back and back. And just when you think you know everything, you realise you don't. But no, he was wonderful. It was a one. I can't remember your question. What was it like? I loved it.
What was it like? So we've got a social question. Martha on Twitter. Tom, you have said that this isn't Downton on Delhi. So how would you define it instead?
Oh my God! How would I define it instead? Well, I mean, of course, it's a Sunday night drama, so it does have to be that world. It has to sort of tick certain boxes. But what Gurinder's done brilliantly is sort of taken that world. There you go. And then she sort of, I think, challenges you. It's a lot more political. I remember when we were almost halfway through filming, and Gurinder was like, "Oh my God, this is so much more political than we even thought." And so that sort of the politics runs really heavily through it. But there's just so many characters in it. It's not so much upstairs, downstairs, because the characters interweave with each other. You couldn't cut any character out. It would sort of make the story fall apart. So there's this wonderful web of it. I'm being so bad at answering questions.
It's in India.
Oh my God, it's hot in here.
It is, you know, it's hot in here. Bessie, you take on the role. Oh, go ahead.
I say Tom's right. I think that what we did was take these characters, throw them into this environment, all of them, and put them out of their comfort zone as characters. And then at a time in India, before it was the British Raj, and just see how they all worked. I mean, in terms of Margaret's character, Bessie's, I mean, in terms of Dakota's character, Margaret, Bessie's character, what was the name again?
Violet!
So well.
Violet Woodhouse. Gurinder.
Everyone's out of their comfort zone, and everyone's been thrust in India and is trying to find their way.
Yeah.
So, like, with the audience, I mean, the audience is also trying to work out what's going on as well.
Yeah. So let's talk about your character, Bessie, Violet, who is a family friend. So
Yes.
what is her relationship to John Beecham and the family?
I like to think they grew up together. No, I think we knew each other back when John and his brother were in London before they moved to India. Friends of the family, so I travel over with John's mother, Henrietta, played by Leslie, who's fab. And we, exactly what Gurinder just said, we sort of, I think, we're the eyes of the audience coming to India, stepping off the boat and going, holy heck, wow, what a different world this is. So we travel over on a cargo ship because they didn't have passenger ships at that time, so it would have been about a 6 to 8 month journey on a cargo ship, which I think shows some determination and ambition. I think so.
She's trying to get John. That's the thing. She's come to India.
Henrietta's kind of, I think Henrietta, because also think how long it would have taken to get, I don't know, like news back. So we don't know his situation when he's over there. So yeah, I absolutely come with eyes
wide open.
Wide open.
And then, of course, you meet Dakota's character.
And I'm like, who the heck are you, other English Rose?
There's a bit of a standoff. So let's talk about your character and what Margaret is like.
So Margaret is the governess of Roshanara, who is the daughter of John's neighbour. So basically the 1795 girl next door. And we meet at a party, and I think we are instantly drawn to each other because it's the familiarity of seeing somebody who is English, who understands our sort of culture and our values. And neither of us have seen an English person in a very long time. So it's quite exciting, I think, for both of us, and then we become
so
friends.
exciting.
It's so hot in here, isn't it?
It's India method.
How long have you guys been sat here? For like hours? My God.
So we have a little bit of a clip of when both your characters meet for the first time and your characters in as well. So let's take a little bit of a look at that clip.
12 years since you left me. Barely a word in the last 3 since you became a wandering tinkerman. Whew. But now my fears are all allayed.
Oh, Miss Osborne, thank you for coming to greet my mother.
John has been so looking forward to your arrival.
And how, pray, do you know my son?
I am his neighbour.
Come, Mother. We have prepared some refreshments for you.
Standoff there. Yikes. So, Gurinder, this is set on the cusp of the 19th century, which we don't know a whole lot about. Why did you decide to set it then?
18th century.
But so on the cusp of the 19th, so in the 18th, yeah.
1795.
Yes. To be exact. I learned lots of interesting things as well as we were researching it.
at that time, the Mughals had ruled India for hundreds of years, but the Mughal dynasties were now in decline. And standing in the wings, we had the British East India Company, we had the French East India Company, who were also trying to claim India, but we also had the Hindu Maharajas waiting. So India could have gone any way. We weren't sure which way it was going to go, you know, in the drama. But we do know that France has been, the French in India have been somewhat hampered by the fact that there's a revolution going on, you know, in France. And the Hindu Maharajas are just waiting to see what the British are going to do. So it's a very interesting period in India's history that people don't really know about. People just think, oh, it's the Raj and, you know. But we're going to go into exactly what happened, how Britain did, you know, take over. But in the process, what I've learned is that actually India became the playground really for rivalry between the British and the French, who you know, had been in hundreds of wars, as we know, you know, here in Europe, and they'd taken that to India.
And there's a huge international cast in this series. Can we talk a little bit about the casting process? Have some water, and how all of these guys got involved.
Well, I have to say it's an extremely good-looking cast, and you know, and I didn't set out like that, but I was very happy that, you know, we have you know, fantastic. Like, there we go. You've seen Bessie. Leslie is amazing as the mother because she's posh. People know her as the cook downstairs, but she's actually in this film for the first time playing someone you know, this program. Mark is unbelievable as an actor, and the arc that his character goes on, you don't know where he's going, and he plays that duplicity so amazingly. She's a powerhouse, old Palvi from Australia. Swoon, Castillon.
It's my French husband, we're engaged.
Yeah. Gregory Fatusi, obviously Tom there. We had twins playing the baby. Margaret, Dakota there. Goldie, who I'd worked with before, is the gossipy woman who is downstairs. Ramlal is who comes with John, who is very serene and very quiet and very powerful, but watches everything that's going on. She's a stand-up comic, Tripti in India, but she plays this very the wholesome sort of maternal nurse who's trying to work out what's going on with the other maternal nurse, which is Chanchal over there, who has her eyes set on Daniel, John's brother there. And then Bartle at the end. But all these guys, what was wonderful was that we were able to do scenes without their shirts on, so we could see their nipples.
Me included.
So what about the research that you guys had to do about this period? Did you have to do much research for this?
Yeah, I'm going to answer properly now because I've cooled down.
And how long do you have to prepare for something like that?
Well, what was wonderful is when we had about a month or so, maybe a bit longer before I did anyway when I came on board, and so I had quite a lot of time to read a lot of books. I I didn't write it. I wrote. That's how in depth I go. No, I read a book by John Key called India, which tracks India from 2000 BC to present day. And then a few other books that Leo had a fantastic one as well. So I did a lot of pre-work on it, but really it was about, for me, it was about sort of understanding all these secrets he has, who knows what, how I'm going to try getting around. Gurinder and Paul wrote wonderfully scenes between Dakota's character and I, where Dakota's obviously pressuring me to answer a lot of these mysterious questions, and I'm, you did pressure me, Dakota. And John cannot, you know, for reasons that I can't talk about because it's a big secret, I know we're in the series, but John can't sort of talk to her openly. So a lot of it actually came for me in playing it on the day with all that stuff going on in the background.
And ladies, what was it like working with the world-renowned director and producer that is Gurinder?
Well, I mean, extraordinary, because Well, because we had the joy of working, first of all, in Ealing for 6 weeks, where I think it was the first or second week we were invited to Gurinder's house in North London. We were invited around there. We had a party. We had curry. So immediately we were welcomed into this Beecham family. And she does such a brilliant job of making everyone feel absolutely part of a family, and therefore you want to come to work the next day, and you that helps. It helps the work.
I'm sure it also helps when you're on location and you're filming for crazy amount of hours with the huge cast. How do you keep all of that going, and how do you keep your actors and the crew on side?
Well, working in India is not for wimps. You know, it's hard. It's hard work. You know, you are hot a lot of the time. You're
like
grubby.
we are now.
Yeah, you get a lot of dust. The food is very rich. Out there, I would kill for salads. Because everything's like beautiful curry, but I always want something plain, and so I think that it does take a large toll on you as a person, but. That's why, for me, it's important to go the extra and let everyone know, it's not going to be easy, but if we're all together and we're going to all have a laugh, that's the way through it. And I think one of the things that I like to do is make the Indian crew feel just as good as the English crew and the Indian casting. So, because I know both sides, I do things like have a speaker when I'm on set.
Play music.
And I play
Love
music, yeah. And sometimes I play Bollywood songs, and all the Indians would be like this and joining in. And then another time I played One Day More from Les Mis when we were in the Ford.
And then, of course, you run over on the schedule and it all costs a fortune.
No, we're waiting for things to happen. We're waiting. But it's a great way, it's a great equaliser, because the thing about filming is, I think the worst thing about being on a set is hierarchies. When up there, someone is sort of, bad-mouthing people or shouting at people, and suddenly everyone's sort of running around in a state of fear as opposed to having fun. And so for me, it is really important that you come and you have fun. And that's not to say I'm perfect. There were days when I was upset or I was exhausted, I was tired or whatever, and I did shout, But those days, people run around and go, oh my gosh, she's upset. What are we going to do? Everything's going to fall back. We're going to change. You be happy.
But also I remember this one day we were trying to, because we were filming exteriors, those incredible Indian sunsets.
Yeah.
And there was this scene of me walking along these beautiful fountains and the sun was setting, and Gurinder went mental. It's sort of like, we've got to get this shot. We've got to get this shot.
We had like 10 minutes to get it.
Yeah, and it was like screaming, and the DOP, who's wonderful, was like shouting at Gurinder, and we were like, oh my God, this is horrible. As soon as they called cut and we got the shot, and I went, did we get the shot? Yeah, we did. I love you. And then it was all like hugs again. And that sort of sums up a lot of filming, but it's like you can literally be screaming at each other, and then 10 minutes later it's, you're the greatest DOP in the world and I love you. And
it's just the way it is, isn't it? In these huge productions.
Well, also because you're the passion for telling the story. That's what is at the key of it, which Gurinder has,
nailed.
Yeah, has to have, I think. So you all care for the story. So it's the story first, isn't it?
Well, it is a British Asian story, and that's a rare thing to have that on primetime TV, is a series that comes from my perspective as a British Asian woman. And so I'm sort of guiding everyone through this, and it's everyone's experiences, but ultimately I'm sort of balancing out, okay, are we too Indian here? Are we too English here? Is the politics too much here? Is it too light here? Is it this? Is that? So lots of things I'm balancing all the way through, because it is 9 o'clock Sunday night drama, which I love. And I don't want to be taxed too much on a Sunday night, but I do want to be challenged.
Be transported into another world where you don't have to think about your own miserable existence. I'm only joking. Guys, thank you so much for coming on. We really, really appreciate you guys being here, and we really look forward to seeing the series on Sunday. Sadly, that's all we've got time for with the guys, but you can watch the epic new series of Beecham House this Sunday at 9 p.m. on ITV1. We'll be back with Joel Dommett at 6 p.m. and Chase Crawford at 7 p.m, so don't go anywhere. Right now, though, give it up once more for Tom, Dakota, Bessie and Gurinder.
Thank you.
Thank you.